Okay guys, welcome back to Teen Muscle Radio, and you are listening to episode 11. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by a guy that I've spent the last 2 weekends with, and I'm sure if you follow me or Cain on Instagram or Facebook, you'll know what we've been up to, and I'm sure that plenty of people are really excited to listen to this episode. So yeah, today I'm joined by my friend and client, Cain Pickard, for a podcast which we are going to sort of talk about how Cain initially got into bodybuilding and how he's obviously come to the success that he's had recently, qualifying for the NPA British Finals and taking a third in his first ever BNBF show. So before I go on and ask some questions, I'm going to get Cain to sort of introduce himself and give you guys a bit of a background about him. So go ahead, Cain.
Right, hello guys. So basically, I'm from, I don't know if any of you guys know where it is, Nottingham. I live in a small village called Cain Got, where it's just pretty much me as a teenager and loads of old people. I work in retail. I actually work in two places. So I work at the Spa and Home Bargains, which is like a discount store. So basically in the retail at the minute. What else? Just a regular gym guy, you know.
How long have you been training?
Training wise, I would say about 3.5 years, coming to 4.
Okay.
I started when I was when you're old enough to join the gym. I think that's like 16 years old, or when you're old enough to pay for it yourself. So yeah, just about 3.5 years now. So I'm nearly 20. Yeah, so 3.5.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you have what other hobbies do you have sort of outside of the gym, like right now, like people should know about? Like, do you YouTube or anything like that? Tell the guys just a bit of background about what you do sort of outside of work and gym.
So yeah, outside of work and gym, I obviously have my YouTube channel. That's sort of like documented my whole like prep towards the BNBF and the NPA. We're gonna follow that on to the finals.
Yeah.
So I'm quite creative as well. So I've always liked arts and design, things like that. I've always drawn fine art. I studied it for ages, 7 years. So I'm a big creative guy, and I think that's why I've been really interested in YouTube, because you have to do all these edits, and you know it's fun for me to actually do. So
yeah,
that's a big hobby. Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we go on, I just want to I haven't really done this with anyone else, but I really want to get an idea as to what you were doing, Cain, before you even started the gym. So a lot of people, including myself, will find that before we even sort of got into lifting weights, we were doing something else. So what were you doing with, sports wise, before you got into the gym? Was there anything competitive?
Sports wise, I was really competitive. I probably majority of my younger age, I played a lot of sports. Played football, rugby, really competitive, playing water polo. Competed for our county, came third with my team. So yeah, I've always been sporty and like rather into my fitness, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I've played a lot of sports, and even played things like hockey. I think I've played quite a lot of sports. So yeah.
And at what point did you ever, like, when you were playing the other sports, did you ever get to a point where it was like, I have to drop this in order to sort of carry on with my passion for the gym? Or did you like continue them side by side for a period of time?
There's a part where I stopped playing football and rugby for like completely, and my main focus was water polo, and alongside that was the gym. So I think my main focus then was water polo, and I was thinking of doing like a split of like 3 days a week, something like chest and triceps, back and biceps, shoulders and legs, something like that, 3 times a week. So it wasn't a massive focus, but I remember I always wanted abs, so just train my abs like every day when I was playing water polo, especially because you obviously got to stand there in speedos, and having like a belly was not the best of things. So I remember I always wanted, the number one muscle I wanted was abs, and I was just training them constantly. So yeah.
I think we always start off with something like one body part we initially want, and it's generally abs, especially with the younger guys. Like, it's generally people that just want the abs, and they think that, obviously, now, full well that a lot of getting abs is down to how, your level of body fat, your level of overall body fat, and your obviously your nutrition dictates that from a large perspective. So your training for the abs might not matter as much as people initially thought, especially me. I was the same. I'd do sets of 50 push-ups in my bedroom every single night. Like, I probably trained my abs better when I was 12 than when I was than now I'm 20 and I'm a bodybuilder. So yeah, it's ridiculous but true. So now, when you got into the gym, Cain, what was the initial drive for that first session? Did someone motivate you to go there? Did you have someone that you looked up to in terms of like a friend or a bigger guy at school? And did you sort of take yourself along for that session on your own? Give us an idea of that first session.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely looked up to people. I had a hairdresser at the time. His name was Nathaniel.
Okay.
He was big into the gym, always spoke to me about the gym. Like, I'd just go for regular haircuts, so it's all we really spoke about. And then he's the one that sent me my first ever program, something on like bodybuilding.com or whatever. I don't really know anything about it, so he just said, look, try this. It's better than doing nothing, I guess. So I went into the gym with a friend called John. We both sort of did the same. John and Harry both did the same sort of split and just went from there, really. I think we did like cardio as well as weightlifting, so at that sort of young age you can do both and build muscle, obviously at the very young age start of it. But what I was driven was from probably my hairdresser. He looked good, he had big muscles, and you sort of look at the guys and you think, I want to look like that. Also my dad, he used to pull like trucks. He used to be very into his like powerlifting and stuff like that, so concentrate on deadlift, bench, his squat. He used to be really good at it. So seeing my dad just sit here looking big sort of motivated me as well, and drove me to go to the gym. So
for sure, that's mega interesting. I think that having someone in your family that also lifts gives you that motivation from day one, like you're just growing into it. That's something that I didn't really have, and that's interesting to hear that someone else had that. And also, like, I'm very similar to you in the fact that I was going in with friends, and I think that's almost like a confidence thing for people to just get into that environment and feel sort of comfortable there. Like, I found myself much more confident with like maybe slightly older guys, or like a friend at least of my own age with me, just so like I could feel comfortable in the gym environment. Obviously, me and you both don't need that now, and probably we're sometimes actually better without training partners than we are with. But I think that's very important for the first stages, is that it can make it a bit more of a comfortable experience going into the gym with that partner. So that's interesting. Now, you sort of briefly mentioned it, obviously your motivation coming from your dad and the hairdresser, but do you think when you started you were maybe more interested in like getting into the gym purely for aesthetics, or was it for yourself, or was it to impress others?
Definitely to start with. I think everyone just wants that good body, don't they, to impress either girls or, I think that young age you just sort of want girls to look at you in a different way and say, oh, he's got abs, or, that sort of thing. So to start with, I'm not really sure. I think I found it more fun and it started to become a hobby than really trying to impress anyone. I did really enjoy it, especially going with a mate as well. Sort of like you competed with each other, who can sort of do more reps here, and who can lift this. And so I don't think I tried to impress anyone. I think I did do it for more fun, but I think at the early stages, definitely girls on my mind. So
now, did you when you started like getting into the gym, did you notice that you were getting more attention from other people, like more attention from girls or anything like that, and did that make you motivated to continue?
I think I got more attraction from boys than with girls. It's weird, like girls, honestly, if anyone thinks it, that if I get this amazing body, girls are gonna love me. They don't care, guys. Like, they don't actually care. But
so you're saying if you want to attract men, you've got to start lifting as a teenager?
Yeah. I honestly think more boys were like more interested in what I did in the gym.
Okay, so they were
rather than-
impressed. So
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
impressed. So you weren't attracting males like
Oh,
from
yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mean like, oh yeah, yeah, God, that did sound quite bad, didn't it?
That's absolutely maybe I took the wrong impression from that, but I think I've had a few incidents with that, especially with like Instagram and social media. Like you get a few weird people, or not weird, but you'll get a few people that like commenting that you think are a bit like definitely someone that you maybe don't want to converse with, but at the same time it is important to sort of realize that just is going to happen, especially if you're posting like progress pictures, physique pictures. That's going to happen. So I think like when you're younger, you should maybe like avoid doing lots and lots of progress pictures, especially online, because you will attract a bit of a mix of
Yeah.
people. So yeah, that's interesting. When you sort of like obviously got people guys saying positive things to you, at what point did you notice change to your physique? So I know when I was initially training, like I'd look in the mirror to try and sort of see whether I was making progress, and actually I was quite happy with the rate that I was making progress, and I could see like my body changing quite drastically quite quickly. Now for you, what initially happened? Like tell us about how you sort of saw progress over the first phase of your lifting career.
Yeah, again, I think I saw progress really quickly. I think majority of people do, but I was obviously being really sporty before. I was never really chubby or fat, so the muscle that I put on, you could see being put on, if that makes sense, because I was already
Correct.
kind of lean. You'd see the muscle coming on. So progress are really, I think, like the first year, I must have put on quite a lot. Um, well, not put on quite a lot, but yeah, it definitely saw progress, and it motivates you more. You want more, and then yeah, it just goes from there, really.
Now, did you measure progress in the ways that obviously we're measuring progress now, or how did you measure the fact that you were making progress? Was it just the way that clothes fitted? Was it the way you looked in the mirror? Give us an idea as to how you actually tracked progress.
Yeah, definitely not the way I do now. Like, definitely not as like smart as we do now. But I think I'm mainly looking in the mirror and maybe seeing if this looked bigger. And I knew as well starting off that if I lifted a bit more weight as well, so progression in like weights,
Mm.
if I went up and you feel a bit bigger as well if you lift bigger weights. So you then look in the mirror and you think, oh yeah, actually I've got a little bit bigger. So I think it was more sight, like more vision for me.
Did you take any
Um,
progress pictures, like
no,
mirror selfies? You didn't take any mirror selfies.
actually that is a lie.
Yeah, don't lie.
Yeah, that is a
Don't
lie.
lie. You
Um,
definitely took mirror selfies.
there are quite a lot actually.
Yeah,
I think.
there we go. Exactly, they'd be great for a Transformation Tuesday. But I took so many. I took so many, especially in vests. Like because I went through like my first sort of gym experience was a fat loss phase whilst getting into weight training. So obviously once I got rid of a little bit of the fluff that I had, I was really happy with how I was looking. So I was taking like hella shots. I think actually it's really important because I found like pick stitch ages ago, like the way you place two pictures together,
Yeah.
and I was doing that when I was like 14, 15 years old, like putting two pictures against one another. So I think that's actually really beneficial. Like,
To be honest,
there's,
I think I did that as well. Actually, I think I remember going on holiday and putting a picture of me on holiday, and then like a year before, and thinking, do you ever like think back and you think you were like the best, and you thought you
yeah,
were the God's gift, and you had all these muscles. I remember on holiday at that time, I thought I was like big muscles, abs popping out, and I look back now, I'm like just like want to close my eyes.
yeah. You showed me some of those pictures like over last weekend,
Oh yeah,
and yeah, like I was the same when I was younger. Like I'd I'd take pictures in the mirror thinking like I had the biggest bicep going, and it was like awful, like really poor conditioning. just no mass. But now, like, we're so much more sort of like critical of our own physiques that I think we sometimes struggle to realise how much progress we've made. Whereas when we're a newbie, it's like, whoa, I'm making such quick progress. I remember when I started to fill out tops with my chest, and like I'd walk around like with my chest so far out.
Or when you get some biceps, everyone used to that roll their sleeve up, don't they? So hard. And they're like, oh yeah, look at my arm.
And like I remember also like veins being a thing as well. So like if you were one of the guys that lifted, then you always have like I remember looking like one of my mates was like super vascular, and I was always massively jealous. Like he'd eat rubbish and just be so vascular, and I always got so jealous of that. So when I got lean for the first time, I was like, this is it. I've reached my peak. But yeah, that's interesting. I think a lot of people could track their progress better as a teenager. So what advice would you give to like a teenager listening to this in terms of like tracking their progress? What would you say would be the best way to sort of maybe go about that? In your opinion, what would you say would be the best way to sort of start tracking progress?
I'd always advise people asking me in the gym as well. Always advise a logbook with your lifts. I've always done that even before like meeting you. I know you told me to start, but I've always done it. So tracking progress through a logbook definitely shows progress throughout lifts, and also I would say photos are probably one of your best, or I would say measurements, but that's a bit kind of up there. But
could take like measurements now and again. Don't have to take them regularly. Could take them now and again.
Just it's almost like like 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, just measure everything again. And if you've got bigger, it sort of makes you a bit more motivated as well. So, and I think with logbooks, if it motivates you even more to go to the gym. You hit one weight a certain week, you just come back and you want to hit something heavier or hit more reps. It keeps it interesting, I think, rather than going in saying, oh, what did I do last week? I can't remember. You've just got it in front of you. So, yeah, I think that's the best way.
100%. Totally agree with that. Really good tips, mate. So, in terms of like your learning process when you were new, obviously you said that your hairdresser sort of gave you a training program. When you were sort of gaining knowledge before you met me, before you met a coach, where was your hub for learning about training and nutrition? Did you go to certain sites? Did you look on YouTube? Where did you go, and what did you learn?
I was mainly a YouTube guy, so I'm more of a visual learner. So always went to YouTube first before anything else. Just typed it in, whatever I wanted to know. If it was a supplement or how to train a certain body part, I'd always type it in, and someone would come up sort of regularly. I think to start with, it was like the Hodge twins, people like that, okay, giving advice. So I'd always listen to them, and like it'd even be certain things like when to take creatine, or and they just build up my knowledge through that.
Yeah.
And also I remember one Christmas my dad brought me 6 months worth of, I think it was like Men's Fitness. So every month I've got like a new magazine, so I'd always read through them and just gain a little bit. You gain like little bbits of knowledge here and there, and you want to find something out, so you just sort of research it. And I think that majority was through YouTube.
Did you find that was like a pro or a con? Because I found that initially when I was getting all that knowledge, and I was the same as you, I actually read, I think, quite a lot of Men's Fitness, but I found that was almost like a con, because I'd read a bit of new information about training or nutrition, and I'd always change whatever I was doing. Like I'd be so eager to make more progress that I'd just chop and change all the time. Do you think that was an issue with you? Did you chop and change quite a lot when you were getting into it, or did you stick with the same thing?
I think I did chop and change. I think majority, when I got into it, I didn't really believe, because there's so many different opinions out there, isn't it? It's like you click on one video and they're saying you have to do this. I think the biggest thing to explain this was like fasted cardio. So many different like opinions here and there, and I got really angry, and I was like, I want to know, someone just tell me. exact answer, but obviously you've got different opinions.
Yeah.
And I think I did get quite angry at some point, like not knowing exactly what to get, thinking if I don't do it this way, I'm never going to build this muscle, or I'm never going to get shredded if I don't do it this way. And it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time there's misinformation out there. There's a lot of good information. There's a lot of, like you said, varied opinions, and there's a great quote out there. I think I saw it on my feed today on Facebook that I think it was Brad Loomis from like Team 3DMJ said it was like the science of today might not be the science of tomorrow. So it's essentially saying that science is constantly changing. So something that might be correct today about fasted cardio might not be correct tomorrow. It might get proven that there is a slight benefit. It might get proven that energy balance is overwhelmed by the fact that you do your cardio fasted. There might be loads of things that come out that prove something wrong, but right now it's obviously best to look for an evidence-based approach, especially as a young individual. Like, you can make such great progress by going straight to the evidence rather than sort of dibble-dabbing in the sort of the rubbishy stuff, the stuff that looks like great and the stuff that sounds awesome but might not actually do the job. So where would you say, like, right now would be, in your opinion, as a teen, like, that's obviously worked with a coach, you spend plenty of time on YouTube, where would you say, if someone was like looking for more knowledge, where would you say to go in terms of building knowledge on training and nutrition? Where would you get them to go?
I definitely would stay away from YouTube now, because there's so many different opinions out there. If I were you, I'd research it on the internet. Maybe just type it in on Google. There's lots of like theories out there. People have written about it, and I think the biggest thing is trying it yourself.
Yeah.
And don't chop and change. So one thing that works for you might not work for another. So just, if you think you want to try something, try it out, and then if you see progress and you see you enjoy using this or whatever it is or whatever, just continue using it. Because if it's not broken, then why change it? So,
yeah.
And then if you don't enjoy it, then move to something else. You've got so much time when you're younger, you can afford to change and find what you like to do. So,
yeah, I really think that's good advice, mate. And in all honesty, like, you can go to as many websites as you want, follow as many great people as you like, but if it doesn't work for you, at the end of the day, it's not going to work. So you've got to find something that you enjoy doing, works for you, and that is literally the bottom line. So very good comment there, mate. I totally agree with that. So moving on, Cain, like, when did you first find out about bodybuilding, about the sport where you stand on stage with a tan on, in some Speedos? Where did you find out about it? And yeah, give us an idea about where it initially came into your head.
Okay, so I knew it was like a sport. I knew it was something you could do, but I was never really interested in it until I think I approached you just December-ish. I think it was only a couple of months before then that I actually really was intrigued by it. So I knew it was there, but I really wanted to look more into it and sort of do it myself. So probably about a year ago it's nearly October. Probably about a year ago from now, really, that I really started to have an interest in stepping on stage, getting into condition, seeing my body in a completely different perspective, obviously, because you've got to get lean, you've got to, and I think from the start, you sort of always doubt yourself. You look at yourself in this bulked physique and you think, I'd never look good. But it was always something I wanted to do. So yeah, probably about a year from now, always interested in it.
Did you see someone else compete, or did you have a friend that competed? Like, did you see it on TV? Did you watch Arnold? What was the initial igniter? Like, did you see it online? What happened?
There was a friend called Ben White who I've trained with a couple of times. He competed about a month before that in Mr. Lincolnshire, I think it was.
Right.
Did quite well. So that sort of, and him coming back into the gym with his tan on, and looking fairly good, like lean, it was always something that I thought would be pretty awesome. And he was telling me how the experience was awesome, just stepping on stage in front of people and participating in this package that he had like worked hard to do. So yeah.
I love the word. I love the package bit. I love how people describe the bodybuilding physique as a package. It just makes it so convenient that you're also stepping on stage in speedos, displaying what can only be described as your package.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
it is basically a competition of packages.
There has to be a different word.
The better the package, the bigger the trophy.
What can we use instead of package?
I don't know, mate, but you'll have to think. So in terms of the federation that you decided to compete in, so obviously you decided to compete in the BNBF initially. I think I mentioned the NPA to you, didn't I? Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, okay. So how did you find out about the BNBF? And how did you find out about the BNBF?
Going back to the previous one, also Jack Gill obviously did the one that you did.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah.
obviously knew about the BNBF sort of through then, because obviously he'd competed. So
Sure.
When I approached you, I didn't really know what federation or what I would do. To be honest, I think I remember saying I was more physique, but then literally just changed to bodybuilding just because I was like, no, not physique, just do bodybuilding. And then the BNBF just, honestly, I think for you and Jack, that's when I knew about the federations themselves.
Okay.
The BNBF was just the main one. It was Midlands, so it was local. And then I think just further, that was the one we were going to do. And then further down the line was the NPA. Decided to hop on that one as well.
Sure. So when you found out about the BNBF, did you sort of did you set the date quite far in advance before you started the prep? And how did you sort of go about deciding that? Did you get help from anyone else in terms of how you decided to go ahead with like that time scale?
I think I just set the date through like just looking online and seeing that the Midlands BNBF was this date. So I was like, I want to compete on this date. So I think that's how I went about it. I didn't really want to. I think in my mind I was like, that's the show I want to do. So that date was the date I wanted to do, I guess.
Sure. I think that's very, very important for people to have a look in advance, which is obviously what you did. Came to me, had an idea, had a date, and that's really, really important. So, for people that sort of want, like, they think they want to compete, they think they need help. How did you find out? How did you find out about your coach? Obviously, your coach is me, so I know how you found me. But how did you find me?
Okay, so I found you through Instagram was the biggest thing. That's where I literally found you, and I was looking through. I followed you for a while, I think, before I approached you and saw your postings, and I think you just finished. I'm not sure what you would have done, but like what really attracted me with you was that you won the BNBF. So if you're looking for a coach, you obviously want to go to someone who knows what they're doing, who is sort of done well in the bodybuilding career.
Sure.
So that's
or at
one
least
thing
got into condition.
Definitely. And I remember the one thing, there was a picture of your back, and I was like, this guy knows what he's on about. I want to be exactly like that. And I was like, right, we'll just approach him and see how it goes. So I think if you want to approach a coach, obviously the knowledge is important.
But the back is more important.
Don't just go for their physique like shit. He looks shit hot. We need to go for him. But like obviously, I'd suggest maybe follow them for a while. Obviously, that's what I did for you.
Yeah.
See what you sort of know them, because if they're a good coach or if they're good, they'll online coach. They'll post regularly like you
and
did.
Display their personality.
Definitely, you find things about them that the internet. You put stuff out on the internet. Someone's going to know you if you follow them for a couple of months. So yeah, I liked your personality, and I liked it because you were young, enthusiastic. You were sort of like my age, a year or two above, and it was just more. I didn't feel as what's the word? intimidated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted someone as a buddy, I guess. Someone who could.
That's a superb point, because there's like a post I put out earlier in the week, like coaching is not just about macros, cardio, whatever. It's about like developing a relationship, and I think that if someone was looking for a coach, not saying that you need to go to someone your age, because there's plenty of people that will deal with it very well, but I think if you're lucky enough to find like someone who's fairly young, someone who has gone through a competition prep, and someone who coaches, then you're pretty lucky, because the amount of like stuff you can relate on is so good. But then again, you can look at the pros and cons of that. Like the pros are obviously you get to relate to them, they almost become like a buddy, like a friend, like you said. But the cons, obviously, like if you went for a more experienced coach, then they'd have a lot more life experience, which they can still relate to a younger individual, which is very important to take note of. But I think, yeah, either way, the way you chose your coach was very good in terms of following them for a while, and that's very important, because if you made the sort of quick conclusion that someone was the right coach without following them for enough time, you might soon find out that if they're lazy on social media, which is their main outlet for growing their business, then likewise they're probably going to be maybe a bit lazy with your whole thing. And if they're so lazy, if they haven't got time for social media, if they really got time for their clients, so I think it's definitely good to get an idea of what the coach is really truly like before approaching them. So yeah, good points there, mate. In terms of what changed, so you approached me, you started this first prep. What sort of things initially changed that made you realise, okay, right, now I'm going into a bodybuilding prep? What happened in terms of nutrition and training?
Okay, so nutrition obviously got more strict. Well, wasn't strict straight off the back, but always like tracked macros. I was introduced to If You Fit Your Macro, obviously, something that I'll do for years now. So you introduced me to that. So we didn't go straight off into cardio. We just sort of introduced me to tracking macros, getting like to know foods, I guess, voluminous foods, and just sort of started from there. Nutrition wise, it was sort of very different for me, because I'd have obviously eat with my family every night. They'd have, mum and dad very good cooks, so they'd just throw in like all these spices, sauces that are full of fat, like things that dad make amazing lasagnas, like full of cream. Obviously, can't eat that.
So good.
Stuff like that, yeah. And obviously, tracking, you can't add all those little things. So, sort of experimenting with foods to make them taste nice as well, not just bland foods.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing for me. Yeah.
So did you feel like initially, that's interesting that you noted like the family meals and stuff. I actually remember that now. I remember you talking about that. But did you feel like you were chucked in the deep end straight away? Or did you feel like you sort of were comfortably going into a competition prep? So when you initially started, on the amount of food that you were on, the amount of training and cardio you're doing, just to give people an idea, because I think quite a lot of people think that when they start competition prep, it's like, wow, like we're now entering the dark ages. We are now hammering away at the fats. Like, how did it feel when you started a prep?
It was definitely not like that at all. I think when you start, you're definitely going to feel like that. You're going to think, oh, this is it. This is no more life.
Hammer down.
You eat. It's quite relaxed. You eat a lot of. I saw like a lot of food. Like, oh god, I can't remember what I was on, but it was still enough to get me through the day, and happily, like with no mood changes to start with. It's just simple stuff. So yeah, I'm still very happy, content, and I still think
strength went up for a while, didn't it?
Like probably till about 8 weeks out, it was still going up. And then just the final last weeks, it just dropped. But my strength increased. Obviously, that's through enough energy, enough food. My cardio was not crazy.
Did motivation levels go up?
Yeah, definitely. I think that I was doing something different, something that majority of people couldn't achieve. So it sort of drove me a bit more, and to people to say as well, like, this is cool that you're doing this, and I don't know many people who could do it. It sort of motivates you a bit more to push yourself. So yeah, definitely.
So in terms of like the you said mood changes and things like that, they didn't really happen when you initially started, but towards like the latter parts, at what point did you really find that it got tough, and what happened when it got tough? Describe sort of the toughest parts of contest prep as well.
Tough parts. Okay, so I think the toughest parts were probably like when you're working and you feel drained and you just don't want to be there and you're quite mardy, and then once you finish work you have to go to the gym. You sort of have to drag yourself to the gym. It feels like that sometimes, and you're just down and you just don't, like, mum and dad noticed it, just mardy, didn't smile a lot. So this was like the toughest part, and where you really had to dig deep to like just drag yourself to the gym. And then once you're there, I found that I was perfectly fine. Got some water down me with the BCAs normally. Did a few little warm-up sets, probably a couple of, like, my first set was normally a compound lift. A couple of those, and I was just hit. I was in my zone, sort of just doing my thing. And then afterwards, I just feel amazing. So, yeah.
That's interesting. I'm definitely the same. Even when I get ill or something like that, if I go to the gym, train, come back, feel 10 times better.
Yeah.
You know, the endorphin rush and everything like that makes things change. I think, you know, what you noted about, obviously, when you're working and feel fatigued and things like that, that's totally normal, and like loads of people will experience that. So I think it's good that you did sort of describe that. And for the most part, would you say that it was a fairly bearable process, and like only towards the end it got sort of moderately tough, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think looking back at it now, it wasn't like, you know, it doesn't kill you.
No.
It's not like you're crawling on the floor to your car, turning on your car, and it's just, you can survive easily through what you were. It's just, I think the hormones change and you think, oh, this is it, I hate this, just because you're mardy. But it's definitely, you can easily, I think I was one to moan quite a lot as well. So through my first I think because I'm new to it and I was a bit like not used to the struggle, so I did moan quite a lot. But it's definitely, you could go through it with the knee, not with the knees, but you know what I mean.
100%.
Yeah.
I think the first time is way harder than any of the rest.
Yeah.
So for people going through their first prep, listening to this, or, you know, thinking about their first prep, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a different experience to what you've ever experienced before. But like you said, like, a lot of people make it sound harder than it is. Like, it's not going to kill you.
I feel like now as well, once obviously I've just competed and had a couple of days off, I feel like now I'm sort of doing a new prep as well. It's like that one was my first prep. Now this is my second prep, obviously to my finals. But I feel like that first bit just gave me so much knowledge, and now I can really just push it, you know, for this next few weeks. So yeah.
Perfect. I think that's definitely a good representation of a prep. What would you say in terms of like the rewarding aspects of the contest prep phase? What would you say they are in terms of, you know, is there any real phases, not the competition day itself, but any phases throughout the prep where you thought, wow, like, I really love this?
Obviously, getting lean and seeing your physique change, like, it feels amazing. It's like sending progress pictures as well. That's a massive thing that I think most coaches do, but they should do like more often, is that your client sort of looks at them as well. And some weeks I'd be like, I haven't changed at all, it's shit. And then I'd like look at last 2 weeks to this week and I'd be like I've changed drastically, and it'd motivate you more. So I feel like the change was the biggest thing. Seeing my physique in a different level. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the most motivating aspect for me as well. I think when you struggle, you look back at your progress and then you're like, let's just keep pummeling on. Like, that is the most motivating aspect of a prep in terms of like the personal side of things, like the things that motivate yourself to continue. I think that's definitely true. In terms of like people looking to start their first competition prep, what would you say the biggest tip that you could give someone to prepare themselves for the whole process?
Okay, I've got a couple. Like, give yourself enough time. You probably actually, I'm just going to say fatter. You probably got more body fat on you than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, this is what I've experienced. So you've probably got a lot more on you think. So give yourself plenty enough time. If you think about giving yourself a certain goal, add a couple of weeks onto that. Because as well, your first prep, you'll make a few mistakes. Admittedly, I did as well. Everyone does. So that just gives you time for your slip-ups, things like that. And number two, if you want to do well, get yourself a coach. And even if it's someone to like go to and be like, look at me now, what do you think? But definitely, I think a coach was a one thing that helped me drastically. To those two, yeah.
Cool. Very good tips. Agreed with both again. Good minds think alike. I think what I would like to sort of round up on before I give you sort of the ending question is, how was the show day itself? Like, how did you feel on the day, and how did you think the 2 days went? Like, give us just a good roundup about how you actually felt on show day.
Okay, so the first one was BNBF. Was quite nervous, but then once I got backstage, seeing all the other lads was really exciting. You see them all, and they're all kind of like in the corner and all nervous while, and you get talking to them, and you just suddenly brighten up, and everything feels so exciting. You're walking backstage onto the stage. It's amazing experience. So I think from there, obviously coming third and feeling that experience on stage, then passing that and just drilling it into my head for the NPA, I think that was a big change. So I think the first step on stage helped, and then like transfer that emotion of feelings that I wanted to achieve onto the next one. So that yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, the first one's always a bit nerve-wracking, and then the second, or the third for you will definitely be more comfortable. You were noticeably more chilled on like the NPA day than the BNBF, so I think that once you got one in the bag, you can sort of like work up your confidence much higher as a result. So yeah, very good. Yeah, exactly. So in terms of like people out there, give your honest opinion. You've competed in 2 federations. I've competed in both as well. But give your honest opinion for people like watching and listening who are thinking about competing in either federation. Give your honest opinion on both of them. So, how would you like compare the NPA to the BNBF, and what would you say is your opinion on the two? So
okay,
obviously, don't be afraid. Just give your honest opinion.
Yeah, honest opinion. I think the BNBF is a better federation.
Okay. Yeah.
I kind of preferred the way they set it out. They were very, very on time. Everything was perfect, really. The one thing that I preferred about the NPA was they just got on. They did the prejudging, then your routines, then you'd find out. Whereas the BNBF, you do your prejudging, wait a while, then do your routines, and then find out. It was slightly different. So in that respect, I think I preferred the BNBF.
Okay.
Even though I came third, I think I preferred the way they did it and then the NPA. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fairly similar in my opinion, although I actually like the prejudging and the gap and then the night final. I do kind of like that. But I agree, like the NPA itself is a small organisation. However, and I'm sure you agree, Michael is a fucking lovely guy, and I'd thoroughly recommend competing in the NPA. Michael is an awesome geezer. I think the BNBF itself has got very, very good people behind it. Vicky's awesome as well, and they really put a lot of effort into their lighting, their music, their timing. Everything's like clockwork. And I think obviously the backstage, they have people glazing you up. At the NPA, you sort of have to do that yourself.
Think about everything, and the venues at the BNBF tend to be a lot bigger and nicer.
They are
Like
larger. Yeah.
the Birmingham one was incredible.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
I'm in agreement on with that one for you, mate. But I think both are great federations, and people looking to compete should really consider both. And it include also the UK DFBA as well. Have a look at their show dates. They now do like qualifiers and a UK final, so that they're a great federation as well. Competed with them in 2015. So I think have a look around at the federations if you do want to compete. But take our advice and take that on board. In terms of your just like rounding up before the final question, what's your sort of your future plans? Obviously, I know what's going on, but give the listeners an idea as to what's going on at the moment in terms of your future like career and also your future shows as a bodybuilder.
Okay, so I've got obviously I've got the finals in 6 weeks for the NPA. 6 weeks today actually. So hopefully do well in those. If I go through those, then I'll obviously there's the Worlds, I think.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, got confused you then. So then we go through them, the Worlds obviously, but got to aim high.
Yeah.
And then through then, whenever that stops, I'll obviously go back into a lean bulking phase. I will reverse out. I want to do it properly. I've said to myself I will reverse and then be left comfortably somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I will carry on with the split I'm doing. Well, like learning a lot through this. Definitely don't go balls. What's it called? Balls to wall. Yeah, balls to walls workouts. I want to maintain gain strength on my bench press, big time. So it's one thing I didn't do, and then squat and deadlifts, obviously the main compounds. So you're going into a gaining phase, and then I haven't really thought about it, but maybe a year off, so take a full year off, and then maybe do the next year again, both federations again.
Yeah.
And career-wise, looking to do PT, personal training, and at the moment getting my level 2 just to sort of push myself into the fitness industry. That's like the basic qualification you need to sort of even work in a gym and coach and give people programs. You just need your level 2. So that's one thing I'm doing to hopefully get, and then just push myself into that environment.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think it's a great way in. Definitely a good opportunity. I think you make a great PT. I think you'd really, really love it. And it's nice to see people obviously getting motivated by bodybuilding, then finding their career in it, because essentially you'll enjoy every day, which is what you want. Where can people find you, Cain? So plug your Instagram, plug your Facebook, plug your YouTube, Snapchat, whatever. Where can people find you, and where are you most active as well?
Okay, so majority of everything is Cain Pickard Fitness. That's my YouTube, my Instagram, and my Facebook. My Snapchat is Pickard Fitness. I think I'm most active at the moment on probably Instagram and Facebook, just for the last 2 weeks because I've sort of taken time off from YouTube, but I'm getting back on that on Monday, so hopefully everything will be running smoothly and back at it. But yeah, my Instagram and my Facebook where I'm mostly at.
Cool, wicked. So final question, which is something that I want to start asking on every single podcast because I think it's cool, and I heard a variant of this question on another podcast and I thought it was a very cool idea. So if there is one thing you wish you knew when you started as a teenager, what would it be, and why should people take note of it?
Oh God.
It's gonna stump you.
What would it be? First thing I knew.
One thing that you like, when you were starting, like you wish that you knew it just to make yourself a better teenager in the gym.
In the gym, okay. So, weight over form. Form over weight. Sorry. See, that's what I got in my head. Form over weight. I think when I first started, I still wanted to lift the heaviest weights. My form was not great to start with. So you slowly realise that that form just beats everything, and your form has to be there, especially with the hypertrophy work.
Yeah.
If your form's not there correctly, you're not going to get the most out of your hypertrophy work that you're doing. So, yeah, definitely leaving my ego outside the gym and just coming in and training smart. I think that was a big thing I wish I knew about than going into gym thinking I was the biggest guy. So
Yeah. Massively important. That's a good one. I like that one. It's a good first one. And I think a lot of people can take away a lot from this podcast, hopefully. There's been a lot that we talked about that I think people will not have heard before. People now have an idea as to how you sort of started your prep, what it looked like, and how to transition into a bodybuilding prep. So I think, great episode. Thanks very much for anyone that's listened to the entire thing. But say goodbye to the listeners, Cain, and we will be over and out.
Goodbye, listeners.
Cool. Thanks very much again for listening, guys, and I'll see you back for episode 12. Cool. See you later.